Hello, dear friends. It's Carly, and welcome to another episode of the I Learned podcast. I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad I'm here. Big, deep breath into this safe space that we all share. I carved out this safe space for myself because I needed it. I needed to practice using my voice, and obviously when I started, there was like nobody listening. It's just me in a room with my phone on record and talking and telling things. And there were things, especially, well, basically in every episode, there are things where even the people closest to me are saying, I had no idea. I had no idea that that was the case, including like one of my good friends the other day. I started talking about my girlfriend Dolly, and she was like, yeah, you've mentioned Dolly several times, but I have no idea who that is. And I was like, oh yeah, she's my girlfriend, and we celebrated our 2-year anniversary a couple of days ago. And so yeah, that's my girlfriend, that's my partner, and we've been doing life together for a couple years now. And I realize that I've mentioned this quote many times. I'm an open book, but I'm hard to read. I tend to not come right out with things unless I'm asked. And that's where, my good friend that I was talking to, she's never asked if I was in a relationship or not. So I never answered that question because nobody ever asked. And that's actually something that I've learned that has been one of a really valuable lesson. I feel like when you're a born teacher to the core of your being, like your sole purpose, your sole intention is to teach and uplift and share information that empowers other people, like you're just driven to do that. One of the main lessons that you're going to learn is that not everybody wants you to help them. Not everybody wants help. Not everybody's ready for help. So the process of like waiting and being able to sense the people who are ready for help, who want your help, who are asking the questions, and then give your answers, life gets so much easier. But that's a whole nother talk for another day. So yeah, it was very nice to get to talk about my relationship with this person who was asked. And one of the main things that she was very interested in, I mean, her energy is a pretty good mix of feminine and masculine, but she does have a good chunk of water energy. And within her relationships, she enjoys a good amount of emotional discussion. And that is something that Dolly and I rarely engage in emotional discussion. I have a Gemini stellium. Gemini is an air sign. Air sign is intellectual and logical and rational and analytical and curious and emotionally detached by nature. And she has an Aquarius stellium, and also Aquarius is an air sign. Stellium just means that there's multiple planets in the birth chart located in that sign. So basically what it boils down to is that I'm air dominant and she's air dominant. And like I said, air is emotionally detached by nature. And so one of the things that I've never really told stories about this because I've never been asked, but it was really fun to get to talk about the fact that I'm an air dominant and she's an air dominant and how that works in terms of our relationship. Because my natural inclination as an air dominant, as someone who is naturally emotionally detached, if I have emotions that come up, well, if, duh, when I have emotions that come up, I prefer to process them in my journal, in my own mind, in my own way, in my own process. And I get to a place where I feel like I understand the emotions that presented themselves in that moment. And if there is something that is actionable that Dolly and I need to work it out within the relationship, then I will approach her with that. And that's another fun story that I got to tell, is how do I do that? How do I approach her then from this air dominant kind of way? But back to like, she's the same way. If she's having powerful emotions, she basically shuts down communication wise. She needs to go away and process her feelings and figure out, what is this? What is this thing? And when you're an air dominant person, that's basically just how it works. Emotions are not your first language, it's a second language. And being expected to argue in the heat of the moment in your second language just isn't going to set anybody up for success. And so, one of the things that I'm realizing at this point is that Dolly and I have like never really had a fight, like never really had like an all out, drag out, screaming in the heat of the moment fight. And I've had those with past partners. I absolutely have. But she and I never have, because she and I both have the practice at this point of going apart to process our emotions and come back together in a way where we are understanding the information behind the emotions, and we're able to converse in a way where it's a productive, constructive conversation. And I totally credit that. That is the main reason that she and I are celebrating a 2-year anniversary, because that is the longest anniversary that I've celebrated since high school. I'm 33 years old, so it's been, well, my 15-year anniversary, my 15-year high school reunion, not anniversary, reunion, was this past spring. So since high school, the longest relationship I've had is 2 years, and that's right now with her. And this is how we are. We don't have heat of the moment style conversations. And I personally think that that is part of our secret to success. And I know in past relationships that there was a side of me that wanted to hash it out and yell and argue and push and claw and all kinds of desirable, sense the sarcasm, desirable behavior. And learning that, for me anyway, obviously I can't speak for anybody else, but for me, arguing it out in the heat of the moment doesn't ever work. It only pulls me deeper into my own shit. And really, my best bet is to separate from what triggered me in the first place and journal what is everything that's present. What are the thoughts that are present? What are the feelings that are present? Where is the energy in my body that's present? And to write all of that down. And as I start to focus into that energy that has been triggered to come up, information starts flowing about all of the different things that this particular emotional outburst that's coming up right here in this moment. It's a product of so many things that have come before it. And as I journal everything that I know about the emotional outburst, the pieces start connecting into the bigger picture of, what is this outburst here to tell me? And so that is a conversation that I have with myself between me and my journal. And I write it out as much as I need to. There's obviously a lot more thinking that goes into it that I don't really capture in writing, but it's still happening because I get those juices going by writing it in my journal. And like I said, sometimes the result is that that's all I need. I need to journal. I need to get some perspective. I need to, zoom out to a bigger picture of seeing how this moment plays into the larger story of my life and the recurring lessons. I mean, life is not linear, it's circular. we come around to the same lessons over and over and over. And every time we learn them on a deeper level, we master them at a greater height. However you want to think about it, we heal in a deeper way. All of those things, life is circular. And one of the lessons that I tend to come back to over and over again centers around emotional boundaries. And this is something else that I've been thinking about a lot since my solar return astrology reading, which I talked about in the last episode, or I think the last episode, maybe the episode before. And where the gentleman, Duncan, who did that astrology reading, he identifies as an evolutionary astrologer, which basically means the evolution of our soul between lifetimes. So it is based on the foundation of a belief in reincarnation and the fact that our soul is eternal energy that cannot be created or destroyed. It only changes forms. So at times it manifests itself as physical. It comes into a physical vessel and lives a lifetime, and eventually that physical vessel expires and the soul's energy transitions back into non-physical. And from a non-physical vantage point, kind of like the Lori Soul Council readings, from that non-physical vantage point, that soul reconvenes with the larger collective to say, what have I learned in this past lifetime, and what am I about to set out on this next lifetime? So that's the work that gets done between death and life, which is actually the name of a Dolores Cannon book. If you are at all interested in what I'm talking about right now, that is a really amazing book, and it's on Audible, so you can even listen to it if that's your thing. That's how I take in most of my books, as I listen to them. I'm not a big reader. Um, so yeah, that's that soul level intention and where you're coming from and what you're coming here for. And that leads me to, well, we were already talking about Pluto and the South Node, both of them. Both of them tie together nicely in your birth chart, in your personal astrology, to talk about where you're coming from and by nature, where you're headed. Just by understanding where you've been, you know where you need to go, because where you've been presents all of the it presents two things. It presents all of the strengths that you've gathered along your path, all of the skills, all of the tools, all of the superpowers that you've collected that you're really solid in. All of those are present in that past, and those are there for us to have and take advantage of and focus on and utilize at any time. So that's a resource that's there for us, each of us as individuals. Our South Node and our Pluto both represent our past karma. The other thing, though, that our past karma represents is our healing that this lifetime was meant to facilitate. So when we hear karma, almost always it has a negative connotation. It has a sense of you did bad and now you're here to make up for it. And in the simplest of ways, that's basically the gist of it. I mean, karma it's not just bad, it's both good and bad. But the karmic healing that you're here to do as a soul in your life that you're living right now, most likely that was accrued by doing things that your soul isn't sitting right with. So it's not like God sentenced you to your karma, or the universe even. It's your soul. You approached things, you attempted things, you were put into situations, and you made decisions that are haunting you. Your own decisions, not something that someone else told you you did bad, you were wrong, you need to do better, you need to go back and make up for it. Nobody else is saying that to you. You're saying that to you. You're saying, I did this and I really wish I could get a do-over. Karmic healing is a do-over. It's an opportunity. And if you can see it like that, life gets a whole lot simpler, because the very first part of facilitating karmic healing is to manifest the pain that is associated with what you're trying to heal. And some of the things that I've read lead me to believe that the pain that is inflicted on us when we're small children is something of a similar vibration to what we caused or are trying to repay from previous lifetimes. Or it's the suffering that we endured in previous lifetimes that we never stood up for ourselves. We never found our voice. We allowed our soul to be dominated, and we didn't express our full authentic self. And anytime that happens, which is basically true for every single individual we've had an experience like that, we regret it, because our soul is here to manifest its pure authentic self. So the karmic healing that we're here to do is, it's a rabbit hole that you got to be ready for. I'm going to put it that way, because I've been studying my birth chart, my personal unique astrology, for about a year, almost a year. And I've heard of my South Node. I've even facilitated sessions where I teach other people about their North Node and South Node. I've read a lot about it, and never has it actually clicked the way that it did in this last week. So that sense of what we're here to do in terms of our soul living its mission, at this point, I'm understanding is primarily rooted in the personal healing that our soul needs. It's not about what the world needs. It's not about what you can do for other people and the service that you're here to provide for other people. It's about your soul, like your personal, unique soul energy. And where are you in terms of your evolutionary process? And when I look at myself, I see a soul that has had many lifetimes, that has had all kinds of experiences that have caused me to have desires that I am here to live out, things that I want to experience, and also things from my past lifetimes that I would do differently if I could. And this lifetime is my chance to do it differently. And talking about the South Node specifically, mine is in Virgo. Virgo energy tends, well, the keywords I love most when it comes to Virgo energy is sacred service. This energy is here to be of service, to analyze the status quo, to offer ideas for improvement, to come up with ways that we can make things better. We can be more efficient, we can be more productive, we can be more constructive, we can advance where we are. That is a Virgo's mindset. And like I said in the last episode, that's a hard mindset to turn off. So the shadow side to that is that you beat up on yourself a lot because you're not perfect. You're not, like, all this improvement that you can see, it's not done yet. It's in progress, or it's not started. It's just an idea that doesn't exist in physical reality. And Virgo, being an earth sign, is all about what is manifested in physical reality. That's all that really matters, right? That's the evidence that we're going by, is what's manifested in physical reality. And like I said, it's an interesting energy to get to live with. But going back to, what does our South Node represent? The first piece are the strengths, the skills, the superpowers. And my Virgo South Node is absolutely a superpower, because all of that self-awareness, all of that awareness in general of how could we improve what we're already doing, that is a powerful force that I bring with me to work every single day. The part where it gets problematic is when I point that same energy at myself when I'm tired. When I already did my work. I already worked today. Now I'm home, or it's the weekend, or it's my relaxation time in general, and I'm still pointing that energy at myself and everything of like, what else could we do to improve this? And so I think one of my karmic healing assignments that I'm here to do in this lifetime is to figure out how to be gentle on myself, how to go with the flow, how to say, I have done a really good job and I'm going to let the universe take it from here. How to say, I don't know what the next step is, so I'm going to let the universe take it from here. How to offer myself compassion when I feel like I could have done a better job. I could have I could have been more perfect, like hindsight's 2020. As I look backward at my performance, I always find things that I wish I would have done that differently or better or whatever. And instead of and telling a better story, sometimes I look backwards and I say I could have done that better, and it's a stinging, harsh, sad feeling. And the pivot out of that, which I am getting better and better at, is, but I showed up. I showed up and I did the thing. I pressed record on the episode. I booked the speaking event. I spoke my truth to my friend while we were talking. I did it. So the fact that Virgo even has something to criticize means I showed up. My soul expressed itself, and that is valuable all by itself. So maybe this moment, this is the pivot out of Virgo. Maybe this moment is about appreciating my soul's expression. The fact that I'm even here, that I'm even manifested, that my soul obviously has a reason, that I am physical. I believe that for everyone who's listening to this right now, like, you're physical. That means your soul has a reason to be here, period. If you didn't, you wouldn't be physical. So our life, the purpose, how does that go? It's a quote, something about between the purpose of our life being to find our gifts and then the joy being to share it with others, or something to that effect. Where we are absolutely part of the mix. Our enjoyment of our life is important. And Virgo, for all its gifts and all its superpower and all of its massive energy that makes so much good in this world, Virgo isn't always great at appreciating themselves or appreciating others or appreciating the bigger picture of all of the potential that the universe is already manifesting. Virgo tends to, because it's an earth sign, Virgo tends to be putting a lot of expectation and responsibility on themselves, on their two hands, their two fingers, their one voice, their one mind. They are responsible for doing it and bringing it to fruition. And the healing in that is to realize that we are part of a much broader system. We are interconnected energy. Everything that is energy. So we are not solely responsible. We're part of a collective. And our job is to, this is where I'm bridging into other material from Abraham Hicks, but our job is to follow the path of most fun. Follow the path of least resistance. And my Virgo South Node serves me so well until it gets into a place where I feel like I'm beating myself up. And that's when I'm getting good at recognizing that it's time to change the subject. It's time to pivot. It's time to realize that I'm grateful for this self-awareness that lets me know that there's always room for improvement. I'm grateful that I can see myself clearly and I can sense potential, and I'm grateful that I'm so analytical that no problem really ever stumps me. It's just a matter of coming up with the right solution. I'm really grateful that I have this Virgo energy. But in this moment, I'm going to choose to zoom out as far as I possibly can in my perspective and see myself as an extension of this universe, an extension of source energy, getting to experience itself through me, through this vessel that I maintain on behalf of source energy. Like today, I was sitting in the yard this afternoon sunning myself, and the feeling on my skin of my whole body was warm and it wasn't uncomfortable. It was really, really enjoyable. And the sun is shining and the wind is moving through the leaves, and it is totally peaceful. It's still and peaceful. And I'm in the center of it all. Like the universe made this planet just for me. And at any moment, I can pivot into total gratitude, total appreciation that I am physical. I am here. I am experiencing this world. I am getting to have a perspective. I'm getting to take in information with my physical senses that lets me know, like my Virgo energy, like this could be improved and we could do this better. And what about if we did it this way? And, there's a never ending stream of ideas, and that I have access to that all the time feels like massive abundance. And learning how to turn it off has been one of the best things I've ever learned. Learning how to take that analytical mind, take that engine for improvement, and park it in the garage and shut the door for just a little while and let there be quiet. Let there be stillness. Let there be softness and gentleness. Let there be enough space for your own inner being to whisper, "You're doing a really good job." Like a really, really good job. Source is always so happy with exactly where we are. And it's only us who ever stops us from seeing it that way. And for all the power my Virgo South Node is good for, one of the things I'm here to heal is I'm really tired of preventing myself from seeing just how good my life is, just how blessed I really am, just how divine the unfolding of my path really is, how often I'm in the perfect place at the perfect time. I'm the only one that ever stops me from seeing that. And I haven't always known that, like I definitely learned that along the way, that our perspective, our filter, what we expect, what we see, what we choose to focus on in the world is literally all that ever shapes our reality. We each are living inside our own reality, and we can control what that reality reflects. All things that I'm so grateful to have learned, and so grateful to have developed this outlet to get to tell my stories and practice using my voice. Like I would love it if there were people out there who hear it and are impacted and who resonate and who get something beneficial out of it. But at the same time, I'm already satisfied because me getting to talk on these episodes is feeding my soul and releasing something and keeping the world in balance in a way that feeds my spirit. It lets me see how good my life really is. This podcast has been a piece of figuring out what my unique energy needs and how it wants to be expressed, and how to maintain the flow of energy that I have moving through me on a week by week, month by month, year by year basis. So this has been another really fun episode to record. And the last thing I want to say is a thank you to my new friend, Patty. Patty, thank you so much for your email. Patty is a new friend. She listens from Texas, and she emailed me at owningauthenticity@gmail.com, where anyone is welcome to reach out to me there at any time and just let me know that she really enjoys my podcast, that she found it at the right time and it resonates. And like I just got done saying, I mean, I already love getting to do this on a soul level, and hearing that someone is resonating with this content in a way that, like, their soul led them to hear this at the right time. It's it's more than I literally was hoping for. I made this podcast for me, and hearing that someone else is finding it helpful is beyond beyond what I was hoping to create. So thank you, Patty, for writing to me and letting me know that. And I so appreciate you and everyone else who listens to these episodes. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And until the next time, you take good care of yourself, and I will too.